Good morning, good morning, good morning. Again, this one's called The Zionist Conclusion, and I'm coming here without a shirt on because I'm baring my fucking chest. I wish I had have done some more things. This is probably the most physically unfit that I've ever been, but it's a small price to pay for doing all these things. Like this is mocked by people because, you know what I mean, it's supposedly like the Hitlers, like the Nazis said, we're supposed to be, optimal in all physical and mental and, all that, but you just can't. You can't. Well, I could, but it would have taken 6 times as long because physical exertion takes away from your ability to be able to do mental stuff. This is like, so yeah, once I'm going to be absolutely fucking optimistic. Once I complete my task that I have been set, I'll probably, for a jog, and maybe eat one less fucking biscuit a day or something. Or perhaps I could just move back to where it's cold and, the coldness does a lot of that for you, because I don't actually really have a problem with overeating. Yeah, I think that, my body has adapted to deal with 6 months of frigid fucking cold and not this heat. I'd hate it in the heat. I fucking can't stand it. Anyway, so that's because I've migrated all the way down to the southern hemisphere. 180 years my family's around here, and I still want to go home. The first few generations, I'm guessing, just enjoyed it. They were like, oh, it's lovely. And they were somewhere where it was cold. But Dad left me here over in this place, and, but now everyone has air conditioners, so they just turn them on all the time. But yeah, that costs a lot of, and Dad sold air conditioners, so you can see he wasn't dull. He knew what the fucking score was. He's like, all these Poms that are coming here thinking that they're landing in a fucking paradise, they're going to want air conditioning. Yeah. Everyone wins. The coal companies win, the electricity companies win, the government wins because they can constantly have something to talk about now. You know what I mean? It's not like you have to maintain a woodlot, communal woodlot, so that you have enough wood to keep warm. Or a coal mine, like, you know what I mean? It's like you've now got to, yeah. Anyway, that's a little preamble as to speaking about migration. But this is called the Zionist conclusion, right? There should be no doubt in anyone's mind that although Zionism, Israel, a Jewish home state, a Jewish homeland, a Jewish, state, was conceived before the atrocities of World War II. There's no doubt in my mind that these current accusations towards the Jews and specifically towards Israel should still firmly land in Germany, and in turn in the dispersed German fucking European Empire, European Union, because they're your Jews. Do you know what I mean? If I beat my fucking dog, and that wasn't calling Jews a dog, and that's a weird thing anyway, because like you're supposed to love your dog, not beat it. So it's fun, isn't it funny how these a dog whistle, and then there's like you can call someone a dog, but then people love dogs. People don't condone beating dogs. It's like language is a weird thing. But if I beat my dog and then it goes and bites people, right? I have a significant amount of fucking blame in that situation. That's why we register dogs. Okay, and unfortunately, the registration of all these Jews that just killed all those people, most of them are registered to Germany, and Germany beat the fuck out of them before they landed in a place surrounded by their enemies. Okay, so it's like they're Germans. They have proven without a shadow of a doubt the reason that they absolutely need a fucking Jewish state, a Jewish homeland. That was theory. Pre-World War II, that was theory. Now it is absolutely certain. But they need to be welcomed back to all the places that they were forced to leave because of anti-Semitism, which has now been proven again, and they have to maintain a Jewish state in Israel. But they will be like the Swiss Guard watches over the Pope to make sure he doesn't kill any people, at the stake. So the combined British Empire is going to make sure the Jews don't fucking kill all the Palestinians again, and to make sure that they are dispersed back out into the world. And we will police anti-Semitism. And we will take one step closer between our Protestant Reformation and the Jewish, held tradition. It's one step closer. I assume some point in the future that all those things, including the Catholic Church, including all the Christianity, probably including the Islamics, will eventually all figure out that they're all actually just druids. No, I'm kidding. But they'll all figure out that there's no point arguing about these things, and everyone kind of knows that. Okay, but then there's geopolitical things, and there's human ferocity and all these things. And it's like we've got to get to. It's like the reason the Germans blamed Jews was because the Romans had influence over the Jews and stuck them as arbiters of the things that they would hate to shield themselves. Okay, alrighty. A lot of water's gone under the bridge, so we can kind of all speak about this now. You know what I mean? And in a way, it's like the Jews right now are doing the work of the West that understands, that we don't all live in a sand pit, in a peaceful fucking thing. So nothing's really changed. Okay, so it's like we have to now take responsibility for the anti-Semitism that is spread by our enemies in order to eventually get to us. They hold up the Jews because we're standing behind the Jews, and the Jews, I am constantly empathetic. It's like what a stupid fucking ridiculous role that they have. Do you know what I mean? And it's like if the popes, right, we've got a king, right? Clearly, the Islamists have a couple of figures, including this Iranian fucking dictator. The Pope is in Rome, and there should be no doubt that there is a Jewish state in Israel. But it's surrounded by Christians, and it's surrounded by British Christians and Protestant Christians and Catholics. And I think like a very small representation of the Islamic world, leading to perhaps the revolution or revelation to the Islamic world that your abuse of your land base and of your people will not be tolerated. It shouldn't escape anyone that you've sacrificed a ridiculous amount of men, women, and children over a completely different argument. You haven't been exiled from your land. You haven't, you don't have thousands of years of history in European regions only to be fucking genocided and then cast out to a place that's completely different and forced to hold refuge and barricade yourselves in to protect the last remnants of your traditions. You haven't. You're spread out all across the Middle East. You're floating in money that you've gained from oil and from concentrated, servitude of your people. And that is spread like a virus around because, if you do the figures, you do the numbers, if you don't understand all the moving parts, a lot of the lesser developed, minds that seem to fucking scramble towards the head of our states have aligned with you because you're bullies, because you've threatened them, because you've overwhelmed their now exposed fucking short-term cult strategy, cult formation. But we are all still here. There should be a very small Islamic representation in that region that can speak in a civilized manner, not with hang gliders and decapitation and barbarian fucking pogroms, in a civilized manner that we expect. And the message will be fucking the same message every single day. Plant some fucking trees and let your women fucking free. That's it. You know what I mean? You are surrounding Israel and we are surrounding you. But your ideals, your barbarian, they will not succeed in this current era. They cannot. And there needs to be a reverse migration of Jewish people out of Israel to their historic homelands. Really, it's like, how far back? Yes, Israel's the dot on the board that they had to. That's the last chance saloon. The fact that a huge majority of them are there in order to cause this much is the blame should firmly go to the people that caused it. Every single nation that has expelled Jews from their land base. What would you expect? So, like, if I now, actually saw out what I speak about the Catholics, I'm going to expel all the Catholics. What happens? There's a large amount of Catholic Irish people. Where do I expel them to? Where are they going to be welcomed? We're not in the world of factories and farms, and we're all going away with this. No one really is going to want to take a large amount of Irish Catholics. But we don't need to do that, because then we'd just be the same. We'd cause the same fucking problem. The problem is that your attempt to Colosseum the world into anti-Semitism has failed. Your attempt to align a newly created pharmaceutical cult with a centuries-old fucking barbarian cult, and a significant South American portion of the Roman Catholics has failed. It has failed by our technologies. A lot of them being, kind of masterminded by Jewish people. The Jews free to move back to the places that hold their names in Germany and in Europe. They now have this. They have a clear example. They have a clear precedent of what this is. A pogrom won't be a little fucking flare-up that's never seen or never heard from. It will be seen and heard. The main argument, it is your rampancy to eradicate the Jews that blinds you from all of this. There is no end game. There is none. We've got thousands and thousands of years into the future, and we've actually got tens of thousands of years of human damage to repair. That takes communication. It doesn't take. It's the war and the expansion and all these things that have led to that mismanagement, because it made more sense to outwardly expand and to militarize and extend yourself out, and what was left was the management of your regions for your own supply of things that you need. The fact that the Middle East is being supplied with lamb and meat by Australia is ridiculous. Because it's like we destroyed our environment to provide a place to feed armies that destroyed their environment, that are sitting there then blaming it all on the Jews, as if, when the last Jew dies, the fucking world will fucking sprout. That's not how the world works. These are prehistoric fucking blood cults. That is one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. With what you have, militaries and fucking, warriors and armies and bombs and fucking jets and terrorist fucking suicide bomber, or with that, everything, looks like a fucking nail. It's like, that's the solution. But it's magic thinking. It's not real thinking. There is no doubt in my mind that if we turn our attentions away from how to kill the last Jew and turn it towards how do we make it so that no one ever even fucking cares? Like, basically, the moment that Iraq or Iran or Afghanistan looks like Florida, for a start, but maybe it looks like the redwood forests of California, with the combined technological resources that we have on this planet, that is very possible. The appropriate concentration of nutrients instead of wasteful. It's all of it. But it has to be held in this agreement. It can't be masterminded by anyone. It can't be masterminded by Rome. It can't be masterminded by London. It can't be masterminded by Israel. When it can't be masterminded by the Islamic States. It's like we have a suggestion and you are to accept it. And your acceptance is your communion with this. And as always, that goes to God. It's like, who did it? God did it. Ah. Who did it? Allah did it. Ah. Okay. Of course. Of course, he set up a final showdown between these historic, powerhouses of theocracy, only to humiliate all of us by showing us, the wasteful ridiculousness of it. That's what he always does. That's always. This is the Tower of Babel, except it's different. It's like the Tower of Babel was what distributed us all out in different languages, and I'm sure there's an Islamic, similar story. This is like the pit of Babel. It's like we all land in different languages at the bottom of the pit. We scuffle around a bit, we rest, and then we all become friends and fucking dig our way out. Do you know what I mean? We find the seeds of Eden at the bottom of that pit. Oh, there they are. Oh, shall we plant them? Yeah, okay. Sorry about all the shit I said about you. Yeah, no worries. Sorry what I said about your mum. Yeah, no worries. Sorry what I said about your church and shit. I might bring around some fucking marmalade later on, or I might bring around some fig jam or some fucking some olives. You know what I mean? See, Zionism is a moving theoretical fucking projection long into the future, and it has paid off. It's not like the way that people criticize it. They speak as if like the Zionists wish to build, I don't know, like a fucking like a portal to world domination from Israel. It's like if you were going to build a portal to world domination, you would not build it in Israel. Do you know what I mean? Our eyes are Protestant, Druidic, fucking Christian fucking part, maybe Jew, that never got taught. It's like, you know what I mean? I'm never going to do that. There's places like Iraq has you know, you got Babylon. Stop arguing. Stop this fucking outward migration. We want to help you make your place nice, basically. Stop making our place not nice. And I think it's like that's what it comes down to. It's like these are words that have not really been able to be spoken. Yes, we want you to leave, but not all at once, not in a hurry. We want to help you make your place nice so that we can all be in the places that we're supposed to be in. Okay, the arrangement in Palestine was not nice. It is not the model for the Middle East. The Middle East is humongous. It is huge, degraded, denuded, absolute desert fucking hell, right? And you built a fucking, like a feedlot on the tiny little patch of land for some type of religious fucking, you know, showdown that would only, it's like, because it could only, there was no way in the world that the Jews were going to kill all the Muslims. So by that result, it's like, well, so you tried to kill all the Jews and they killed an incredibly small amount of Muslims. Do you know what I mean? And it's like, yeah. So now we know what you're like. And you're like that because you're wandering around a desert that you made with all your outward expansion. And we can't, you know, we're in the same boat. Australia is fucked. We fucked it like that. We fucked it like that, especially over here. You know, we're in a real hurry to fucking sit in air-conditioned fucking like hideouts while our fucking land base turns into a desert just like yours. You guys did it without air conditioning, but it took ages. We did it like lickety-split, just like that. But it's like that's what we have to do. We have to repair our land, and we can do it, I think. You know, we can do it in these interesting, really amazing ways that have, you know, massive, you know, I've theorized this dramatic, you know, very, very NASA, very space race-esque expedition to move giant blocks of ice down through Denmark to create an inland freshwater reservoir in the Black Sea and the Caspian Sea, because it has to be something like that. But there's far smaller solutions. You know what I mean? That the reason for this grand vision or whatever is to, it's one, it's that we're moving giant blocks and then having them melt so there is no monument. No monuments. Right? The monuments left are the forests that you're in your books. And by the time they're there, no one will remember who set this forth. You know what I mean? And just the way that we don't know who planted the forests originally. God did. It's no different now. God's planting them again. He's just got us involved in it. You know, every animal already understands. They're like, well, God, we helped you build this place, and then you built this fucking human thing, and they've fucked it all up. He's like, hang on a minute. I've got a plan. You know, of course, he wants us in communion with his project, and that's why he wants us to build our own Eden. so that we respect it, so that we don't fucking turn away from him again. You know what I mean? And the story should always be that is what it was. Like, God built us Eden and we cut it down. And then he fucking tricked us into learning that, you know, if we build it ourselves, we'll respect it. You know, with some people turn that into a vision of we're going to explore the fucking entire universe as humans. It's like there is a universe in every square meter of land. And then when you apply trees and ecosystems and rainforests and jungles, that becomes a lot more. When you do that with intention, when planning and make it, you know, habitable for humans, you could stroll into a quarter-acre forest and lose yourself for 100 years with the right mindset. You know what I mean? So it's like you don't know what you have in the Middle East. You've attempted to, you know, and you can't blame you. Like, you wanted to build these tourism things, and like they will work a lot better when it's less deserty. You know, the same exact effort that went into building those places, the same. It's actually way less, and there's like rather than when you build a tower or a city, it has all this upkeep and all this management costs. It's like when you start doing this, it's exponential. It's like, how do you think that oil got there in the first place? Sand doesn't turn into oil. Do you know what I mean? That oil is your life support from the ecosystem that you destroyed. It is evidence of that. If we landed on Mars and we found a giant patch of oil, we're going to understand that came from the biological fucking, you know, situation that used to be there. And it's like, that's where we are at with the Middle East. So, okay, all that oil that you spent into, you know, tigers and panthers and fucking Land Cruisers and Lamborghini fucking police cars, that oil needs to be turned into something that will turn into oil eventually. So that perhaps in the future, you know what I mean, your distant ancestors will be able to do the same fucking thing. Maybe not. But if we speak about just land bases, it's like, well, we can see that the Jews in Israel, they wouldn't have much oil, but they're at least giving it a go. You know, their desalination projects, all these things, that is what we expect. And they did that whilst defending the entire world's Jews against this hatred. Imagine what they'd do if they just let up a bit. If everyone just lets up a bit, lets them. It's like, I don't want to refer to Jews as Zionist Jews or Israelis. I want to refer to them as people that live wherever they're Germans, they're Australians, they're Americans, and it isn't this dual. Like, there's this dual thing. It's like, okay, well, every Catholic is a dual fucking citizen towards fucking the Vatican and towards Rome. Every Anglican is towards England. It's like, it's a ridiculous thing. Every Muslim is towards Mecca. Like, that's the same. Every Tasmanian is a fucking lunatic fucking interdimensional time traveler. We don't want to get caught up in that bullshit. The reason the Jews are there doesn't have anything to do with being Jewish. It has everything to do with Germans fucking on meth, you know, thinking that they were fucking gods. And I think a lot of the lower level gods, including the Roman and the Greek pantheon, I think, and the Egyptian, I think they were all just people. All of them. That's the idea of a monotheistic religion. It's like, what about if all these gods were just fucking really obnoxious people, right, with all their flaws, including Jesus, including Moses? That's what it looks like to me. Well, that leaves it as they were all under God, and that is monotheism. That's what it is. And it's like, look at what can happen and on a global stage when we just get to that one. It's like, you don't need to call it anything. Just, it's like one. You know? and then all underneath. You know what I mean? You can still like think. I like to all the other pantheons, all of them from all, even Islamic culture, like the jinn, all this. It's like they're all like assistants. They're all employees almost of God, I think. And employees are sometimes cunts. They sometimes steal from the fucking stationery drawer or fucking, or just take a $20 note out of the till. Like that's, but that's thing. It's like that's human. The moment we start thinking of all this pantheon as humans, how like the god we call people now gods, like if they're amazing fucking sportsmen or something like that. It's the same. It's okay to remember them, but I just remember them as employees. You know what I mean? Very, very mouthy, obnoxious, talkative employees. That gets us back to animals. It's like that's why animals are just a bit nicer. They don't talk as much. Animals don't think they're God. Animals don't confuse the situation. They know. They're like, God tells me where the water is, where the food is, where the thing, and they don't even need to verbalize that. They're just like that. That's just their being. That is their state of being. And the problem is like we've had all this religious elitism thinking that we're different than animals. We're not different than animals. We just talk more. We confuse ourselves with our own speech instead of just getting on and doing it. Does a beaver know that it's building a dam that helps all these other things? It provides this, or is it just, I like that stick. I'll move that stick over there on the other pile of sticks that I made. Oh, who knows? Who knows? But I think it's very unhuman to prey on something and then not eat it. So unless, are you going to eat all those fucking Jews when you've killed them? And they'll be like, no, how dare you? We do not do that. We are civilized. And I'm like, all right. Why don't you just plant a fucking garden? Didn't this all start in a garden? Where did your myth start? And it's, if there isn't a garden, you can't talk, basically. If you're not in a garden, how the fuck can you talk about any of this shit? And that means God's garden as well, which God's garden is in an absolute state. You know what I mean? If God was your landlord, you'd all be evicted everywhere. This includes even England. It's like, look at that Nando's guy just poisoning all the fucking rivers in Australia, all the fucking, you know what I mean? You'd all be evicted. And I don't think he's going to hesitate. If this message doesn't get through, I don't think, you know what I mean? He's going to fuck it all up. To hold up this thing, this cult fucking one small step for man, one giant leap for mankind. Like when an entire Islamic fucking global population thinks that on the day that the last Jew dies, the world will be saved. That's one small step. There's not. It's like, but you then kind of in conflict with that, but it's like every Jew has to make a pilgrimage to Mecca. That's how many steps is involved in a pilgrimage to Mecca? Lots, especially in the old days. Thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands and thousands. So it's like, why not add one more? Every Muslim must make a pilgrimage to Mecca and plant the roadsides, and they must walk. And what will that build you? By definition, that will build you. So think about it, right? You've got Mecca, right? 1,000 different roadways to Mecca. All planted like a river, like a river of roads flowing to Mecca. It's like, you do that. You fucking do that. And no one will ever fucking be able to say anything again. And just think it's just like, take a bag of dates and make sure you plant them. And it's just keep doing it. I've watched just that. That's the race. That's the race. It's like we can't really win that race as Protestant Englishmen because it's like, where are we going to build a fucking road to? But we'll try. So I can technically kind of walk here. If we place Stonehenge as our Mecca, right? And every Englishman is to make a fucking migration back to Stonehenge and plant it with a hedgerow. Oh no, we're really good at doing that. So the race is on. You know what I mean? It's like the fucking. I actually have an ancestor that went on this. My ancestor started this whole hot air balloon thing. Go look it up. You know what I mean? Like Richard Branson and fucking Dick Smith. He's an Australian kind of guy. They were all copying what my ancestor did like 300 years ago or 200 years ago in the United States. Everywhere you think you are, we've already been. Okay? So we're going to build a river of hedgerows all the way to Stonehenge. And I guess the Muslims are going to build a river of fucking hedgerows or whatever you call them, long oasis rivers. See, an oasis is a pool closed. It's like we build roads and rivers and all these things. So it's like you could do the same. And we'll see whose is better. You know what I mean? And make sure there's a little soccer pitch on the side of it so you can play football. Or make sure there's whatever so that we can go falconing and you can show me how to catch fucking, things with a falcon. I can't wait. But I think it's a lot better once I think we will be better set in a few years, maybe a decade or so, once we have these types of things. Yeah. But let's do it slowly and steady. So it's like we've said we have an intention for a de-migration to a migration away from Great Britain so that we can repair it, because that is our Mecca. That is what we expect, but we, just slowly get a move on. But, you don't need to be ridiculous about it. And there are already roads there, so just make sure that you plant the fucking roadsides. You mean do little trial runs? You know how to do it. Alrighty. I'll leave that there. How many fucking 1, 2, 3, 4, 8. I get it. Thank you for listening.